Have you ever walked into your home and felt something wasn't quite right? That invisible weight pressing down on your shoulders the moment you cross your threshold. Many people experience this sensation without understanding what it truly means. Today, I'm going to reveal something that Padre Pio, one of the most powerful saints in history, shared only with his closest followers. A secret that has been kept hidden for decades, but has now become essential in these challenging spiritual times. Your home is much more than just walls and a roof. It's a sanctuary, a sacred space where your family should feel protected, at peace and blessed. But what if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there might be unseen influences affecting your family's well-being, finances, and harmony? What if the doorway to your home, the very entrance you use every day, is actually a spiritual portal that could be allowing negative energies to enter freely? Padre Pio understood something profound about our homes that most people remain completely unaware of. He knew that the main entrance to any dwelling is not merely a physical structure. It's the energetic gateway through which both blessings and hardships can enter. Without the right protection, this entrance becomes vulnerable, exposing your loved ones to spiritual dangers that manifest as unexplained illnesses, persistent family conflicts, financial blockages, and even deliberate spiritual attacks. I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. Have you noticed unusual patterns in your home lately? Family members arguing more frequently for seemingly no reason? Electronics breaking down unexpectedly? Plants near your doorway withering despite your care? Persistent fatigue or sleep disturbances that doctors can't explain? These aren't coincidences. They're signs that your home may be spiritually compromised. Padre Pio, with his profound spiritual gifts, could see what most of us cannot. With his stigmata, the physical wounds of Christ that he carried for over 50 years, he was given special insights into the spiritual realm. He could instantly recognize when a home was under negative influence, and he developed a specific method of protection that he taught to those seeking his guidance. This method is remarkably simple, yet extraordinarily powerful. One woman came to Padre Pio in tears. Her family was falling apart, constant arguments, her children becoming increasingly disobedient, her husband distant and irritable. Medical issues kept arising without explanation, and their finances were in ruins despite their hard work. Padre Pio didn't ask about their relationships or their budget. Instead, he asked one surprising question: "What protection do you have at your doorway?" The woman was confused. She had never considered that her family's troubles might have a spiritual origin, entering through the unprotected gateway of her home. The spiritual world is constantly interacting with our physical reality in ways most people don't perceive. Just as sunlight streams through an open window, spiritual influences, both positive and negative, flow through the energetic openings of our homes. Your front door isn't just a physical barrier, it's a threshold between worlds. And in today's spiritual climate, leaving this threshold unprotected is like leaving your house unlocked in a neighborhood known for break-ins. What makes this knowledge so critical now? Padre Pio foresaw that in our times, spiritual battles would intensify. The protective boundaries between the seen and unseen worlds would thin, requiring more vigilant spiritual protection. He said, "The home is where the family's spiritual foundation is built or broken. Protect the entrance, and you protect everything within." I'm not speaking about abstract concepts. These are practical, observable realities that affect your daily life in tangible ways. The method of protection I'm about to reveal isn't based on superstition or fear. It's founded on ancient wisdom that Padre Pio, with his extraordinary spiritual gifts, confirmed and enhanced. Before I share this powerful protection method with you, I want you to know that thousands of families have already experienced its transformative effects. Homes that once felt heavy and troubled have become sanctuaries of peace. Relationships that were strained have healed. Financial blockages that seemed insurmountable have dissolved. all through a simple yet profoundly effective protection ritual that anyone can perform. If you believe in the power of spiritual protection and want to safeguard your loved ones from negative influences, type "Protect my home, Padre Pio" in the comments. This simple act of faith begins the connection to the spiritual assistance that Padre Pio continues to provide to those who seek his intercession. Now let me show you exactly how to recognize if your home is vulnerable and what might already be affecting your family without you realizing it. The signs are subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. And more importantly, I'll reveal Padre Pio's definitive method for creating an impenetrable spiritual barrier at your doorway, one that allows blessings to flow in while keeping harmful influences firmly out. Your home should be the safest place on earth for you and your family. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to ensure it truly is. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could completely transform your home environment and the well-being of everyone who lives within it. Let me reveal to you the 5 invisible spiritual dangers that might be affecting your home right now. Padre Pio, with his extraordinary spiritual vision, could see these influences as clearly as we see physical objects. He understood that recognizing these dangers is the first step toward effective protection. The first danger is what Padre Pio called residual negative energies. These are like invisible clouds carried by people who enter your home. Perhaps a visitor harboring jealousy, anger, or other negative emotions unknowingly leaves these energies behind. Over time, they accumulate, creating an atmosphere that fosters tension, arguments, and even health problems. Have you noticed how some people leave you feeling drained after they visit? Their energy lingers long after they've gone, especially when your doorway lacks proper spiritual protection. The second danger is even more concerning. Open energy portals. Your main entrance isn't just a physical door, it's an energetic gateway. When left spiritually unprotected, this gateway can remain partially open on an unseen level, allowing disturbing spiritual presences to enter. These manifest as unexplained fears, nightmares, intrusive negative thoughts, or that unmistakable feeling of being watched when you're alone. Children and pets, being more spiritually sensitive, often react first, becoming unusually fearful or staring at empty corners of the room. The third danger affects your material well-being directly. Prosperity blockages. Padre Pio understood that a spiritually compromised doorway can actually prevent blessings from entering your home. This creates a pattern where financial opportunities seem to approach but never materialize. Unexpected expenses constantly arise, and despite your best efforts, prosperity remains just out of reach. If you've been working diligently but still face persistent financial struggles, your home's entrance may be spiritually blocking the flow of abundance. The fourth danger impacts your physical health through what Padre Pio described as disruptive energy fields. These create subtle disturbances in your home's atmosphere that affect your body's natural balance. Family members may experience unexplained fatigue, persistent headaches, hormonal imbalances, or sleep disturbances that medical tests can't explain. Have you noticed feeling exhausted even after a full night's sleep? Or perhaps chronic health issues that improve when you're away from home, but return when you come back? These are classic signs of disruptive energy fields entering through an unprotected doorway. The fifth and most deliberate danger comes from targeted spiritual attacks. Padre Pio warned that negative energies intentionally directed toward you or your family find easiest access through an unprotected entrance. Whether stemming from envy, resentment, or ill will, these energies attach themselves to your home's environment, creating persistent misfortune, sudden relationship problems, or that inexplicable feeling that something is actively working against your happiness and success. Now, how can you tell if your home is already affected? Padre Pio identified 3 unmistakable signs to watch for. The first sign appears in family behavior patterns. When spiritual vulnerability exists, Relationships within the home begin to change in subtle but persistent ways. Arguments escalate over trivial matters. Communication breaks down without apparent reason. Family members become increasingly irritable, distant, or critical of one another. Children may become unusually anxious, defiant, or have difficulty sleeping. The once warm atmosphere of your home gradually transforms into one of tension and discord. If these patterns have emerged or intensified recently, your home may be spiritually compromised. The second sign manifests through physical anomalies in your living space. Electronics malfunction with unusual frequency. Light bulbs burn out repeatedly. Plants near your entrance wither despite proper care. Pets behave strangely, barking at empty spaces or avoiding certain areas of your home. The temperature in specific rooms feels inexplicably colder than others. Even the quality of light seems different, dimmer or harsher than it should be. These aren't coincidences or imagination. They're physical manifestations of spiritual disturbances entering through an unprotected doorway. The third sign affects your personal well-being directly. You may experience persistent insomnia or disturbing dreams, a sense of heaviness or mental fog that lifts when you leave home but returns when you come back. Unusual mood swings that don't align with your normal emotional patterns. Chronic fatigue that rest doesn't seem to remedy. Even physical symptoms that doctors can't diagnose or treat effectively. Your body and mind are responding to the negative spiritual influences that have entered your living space. Let me share with you the story of Rebecca, a school teacher from Boston who reached out to me after implementing Padre Pio's protection method. For over 2 years, her family had been experiencing unexplainable difficulties. Her teenage son, once cheerful and outgoing, had become withdrawn and struggled with persistent anxiety. Her husband faced one professional setback after another, despite his qualifications and hard work. Rebecca herself suffered from chronic migraines and insomnia that no medication seemed to help. We tried everything, she told me. Therapy for our son, career counseling for my husband, every medical test imaginable for my health issues. Nothing helped. Our home, which once felt like our sanctuary, became a place of tension and exhaustion. We even considered moving, thinking there might be environmental issues with the house itself. Then Rebecca learned about Padre Pio's method for protecting the home entrance. Initially skeptical, she decided to try it anyway. She had nothing to lose. The change wasn't immediate, she said, but within days, something felt different. The air seemed lighter somehow. After a week, my son slept through the night for the first time in months. My migraines became less frequent. By the third week, my husband received a job offer he'd been hoping for. 3 months later, Rebecca's home had transformed. And it's not that we never have problems anymore, she explained, but the constant, inexplicable sense of struggle is gone. Our home feels like a sanctuary again. I only wish we'd known about this protection years ago. But before I reveal Padre Pio's powerful protection method, I want to offer you something special that can deepen your understanding and strengthen your spiritual practices. For those who want to explore Padre Pio's spiritual wisdom beyond this video, we've created a comprehensive guide called The Spiritual Secrets of Saint Padre Pio. This ebook contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice for strengthening your spirituality. It includes additional protection methods for different areas of your life, special novenas for specific needs, and Padre Pio's guidance on maintaining spiritual health in challenging times. This valuable resource is available through the link pinned in the comments section. It perfectly complements the protection method I'm about to share with you, providing a complete system for spiritual well-being based on Padre Pio's timeless wisdom. Many who have applied these teachings report profound transformations in their lives, experiencing greater peace, protection, and spiritual connection. Now let's continue with our main focus, understanding why some common attempts at home protection fail, and what Padre Pio taught about creating truly effective spiritual safeguards for your home. Many people sense that something isn't right in their home and attempt various forms of spiritual protection. Yet despite these efforts, the problems persist or even intensify. Why? According to Padre Pio, there are three critical mistakes that render most protection attempts ineffective. Mistakes you might be making right now without realizing it. The first and most common mistake is using religious objects without true spiritual intention. Simply hanging a cross or religious image near your door isn't enough. Padre Pio explained that sacred objects carry powerful protection potential, but this power must be activated through proper intention, prayer, and faith. When we place these items as mere decorations or out of superstition rather than genuine spiritual connection, their protective capacity remains dormant. It's like having a sophisticated security system in your home, but never turning it on. The potential for protection exists, but it isn't actively shielding your home. I've encountered countless homes filled with beautiful religious artwork and symbols, yet spiritually vulnerable because the objects were never properly consecrated or maintained with prayer. The family assumed they were protected simply because these items were present, not understanding that spiritual protection is active, not passive. Padre Pio would often tell people, "The cross on your wall remains just wood unless your faith and prayer give it power." The second mistake is focusing on cleansing only the interior of your home while neglecting the main entrance. Many people sage their rooms, use holy water inside, or pray throughout their living spaces, but leave the primary point of entry, the doorway, completely unprotected. Padre Pio likened this to meticulously cleaning and disinfecting your home while leaving the front door wide open during a dust storm. No matter how much you clean inside, the contaminants continue to enter freely. The doorway is the critical juncture between outside influences and your sacred living space. It's the boundary that determines what energies are permitted to enter. You may have experienced this yourself. Perhaps after thorough spiritual cleansing, your home feels lighter temporarily, but within days, the heaviness returns. This cycle continues because the entrance remains an open gateway for negative influences to re-enter repeatedly. The third mistake is perhaps the most problematic, mixing spiritual practices without proper knowledge. In today's world of accessible spiritual information, many people combine elements from different traditions, often creating contradictions that cancel out protective effects rather than enhancing them. Padre Pio observed that this creates spiritual confusion, like trying to follow multiple maps with conflicting directions to reach the same destination. Some combinations of spiritual practices can actually create energetic conflicts rather than harmonious protection. For instance, combining certain Eastern practices with traditional Catholic protection methods without understanding their spiritual foundations can neutralize both. Padre Pio emphasized the importance of coherent spiritual practices that align with your faith and beliefs. Protection works best when it follows clear spiritual principles, rather than a haphazard mixture of techniques. Beyond these three critical mistakes, there are several misconceptions about spiritual protection that Padre Pio frequently addressed with those who sought his guidance. One widespread misconception is that stronger protection requires complicated rituals or rare, expensive materials. Padre Pio consistently taught the opposite, that the most powerful protection often comes through simple means applied with pure intention and genuine faith. The complexity of a protection ritual doesn't determine its effectiveness. The spiritual intention behind it does. Another misconception is that protection, once established, lasts indefinitely. Padre Pio explained that spiritual protection requires renewal, just as your physical home needs regular maintenance. The frequency of this renewal depends on several factors: the intensity of negative influences around you, major life changes, or spiritual challenges facing your family. But as a general guideline, Padre Pio recommended refreshing home protection quarterly, aligning with the natural cycles of the seasons. Perhaps the most dangerous misconception is believing that spiritual protection is unnecessary if you're a good person or faithful believer. Padre Pio would gently correct this thinking, explaining that spiritual vulnerability isn't always related to personal virtue or faith. Just as good people still lock their doors at night, spiritually attuned individuals still need protection for their homes. Negative influences can target anyone, often precisely because of their goodness or the light they bring to others. How can you tell if your current protection methods are actually working? Padre Pio offered 3 indicators. First, a protected home maintains a consistent sense of peace that visitors often comment on. Second, problems may still arise but resolve more easily without the sense of persistent blockage. Third, sleep becomes more restful and family members experience fewer nightmares or sleep disturbances. If these signs are absent despite your protection efforts, it's likely that one of the 3 critical mistakes is undermining your attempts at spiritual safeguarding. Now, I want you to understand something important about the knowledge I'm about to share. Padre Pio didn't reveal his protection method widely, not because it was meant to be secret, but because he understood that this knowledge carries responsibility. When implemented correctly, it creates a powerful spiritual barrier that not only protects your home, but can extend that protection to all who enter. It becomes a sanctuary that helps others heal from negative influences they may have encountered elsewhere. This method that Padre Pio taught combines profound spiritual wisdom with remarkable simplicity. It doesn't require special talents or extensive spiritual training. Anyone with sincere intention can implement it effectively. It draws on elements that have been used for protection throughout Christian tradition, but arranged in a specific pattern that Padre Pio, with his extraordinary spiritual gifts, recognized as particularly effective for our modern challenges. As we prepare to explore this method, I ask you to approach this knowledge with openness and respect. The effectiveness of any spiritual practice depends partly on the attitude with which it's received and implemented. Padre Pio often said, "Faith makes all things possible," but lack of faith makes simple things complicated. In the next section, I'll reveal exactly what elements you'll need, how to arrange them, the specific prayer of consecration Padre Pio taught, and how to maintain this protection over time. This isn't complicated spiritual theory. It's practical, actionable knowledge that can transform your home environment starting today. The same method that helped thousands of families during Padre Pio's lifetime continues to provide powerful protection for homes around the world. Are you ready to discover how to create this protection for your own home? Then let's continue with Padre Pio's definitive method for safeguarding your doorway and creating a sanctuary of peace and blessing for everyone who dwells within. The time has come to share with you the protection method that Padre Pio taught to those seeking lasting spiritual safety for their homes. This method combines 3 sacred elements that, when properly prepared and positioned, create a powerful barrier against negative influences while welcoming divine blessings. The beauty of this protection lies in its profound simplicity, accessible to anyone, yet deeply effective when implemented with genuine faith and intention. The first sacred element is a small, blessed cross. Padre Pio specifically recommended a simple wooden cross, ideally no larger than the palm of your hand. Why wood? Because it connects to the living material of the cross of Christ, maintaining that spiritual lineage. The cross doesn't need to be expensive or ornate. In fact, Padre Pio often preferred humble, unadorned crosses that represented the simplicity of true faith. This cross symbolizes divine victory over darkness and serves as the central anchor of your protection. If possible, have your cross blessed by a priest. However, Padre Pio understood that this isn't always practical, so he taught that you can also consecrate it yourself through heartfelt prayer. Hold the cross between your palms, close your eyes, and simply ask that it be blessed and filled with protective power. Your sincere faith activates its protective properties just as surely as formal blessing. The second element involves olive branches. Olive branches have been symbols of peace and divine blessing since biblical times. The olive tree is mentioned repeatedly in sacred texts as representing God's provision and protection. When Noah sent a dove from the ark, it returned with an olive branch, signaling the end of divine judgment and the beginning of new life. This powerful symbolism is why Padre Pio specifically chose olive as a key component of home protection. You'll need a few small olive branches or leaves. Fresh is ideal, but dried olive leaves work just as effectively. Their protective properties remain intact. If olive branches are not available in your area, Padre Pio offered an alternative. Any evergreen branches can substitute, as they carry similar symbolic meanings of eternal life and protection. Some people even use olive oil applied to small branches of any available tree, combining the materials in a way that honors the intention. The third and final element is holy water. Water has been used in purification rituals across virtually all spiritual traditions, and for good reason. It has the unique ability to cleanse on both physical and spiritual levels. Holy water, specifically, carries the concentrated intention of blessing and protection. Padre Pio would explain that holy water isn't just symbolically powerful. It actually carries vibrational properties that disrupt and dissolve negative energies. You can obtain holy water from a church, or you can create blessed water at home. To do this, place pure water in a clean glass container. Hold your hands over it and pray with intention for the water to be blessed and filled with divine protective properties. Padre Pio taught that the power doesn't come from elaborate rituals, but from the purity of intention behind them. Now, let me share exactly how these three elements work together in Padre Pio's protection method. First, you'll need to prepare your doorway. Choose a time when you can work undisturbed, preferably during daylight hours. Begin by cleaning the area around your main entrance, physically cleaning with the intention of also clearing any spiritual residue. As you clean, you might say a simple prayer like, I cleanse this entrance of all negativity, making way for divine protection. Next, take the small blessed cross and place it centrally at the top of your doorframe. If mounting it directly isn't possible, Padre Pio suggested placing it as close as possible to the upper center of the doorframe, whether visible or concealed. What matters most is its presence, not its visibility. Some people prefer to keep the protection elements hidden, which is perfectly acceptable. Spiritual protection works whether seen or unseen. As you position the cross, say, "Through this holy cross, I establish divine protection over this entrance. Only light and blessing may pass through this doorway." Now, arrange the olive branches in a subtle arc or semicircle above the door, with the cross as the center point. If using actual branches isn't practical, Padre Pio offered alternatives. You can use olive oil to trace an invisible semicircle above the door, or even draw small crosses with blessed oil at 3 points, left, center, and right, above the entrance. As you position the olive elements, say, "Through these branches of peace, I invite harmony and protection to dwell within these walls." Finally, use the holy water to complete the protection. Padre Pio taught a specific pattern for maximum effectiveness: 3 small drops on the left side of the doorframe, 3 on the right side, and 7 drops along the threshold or bottom of the doorway. This creates a complete circuit of protection. As you apply the water, say, "With this blessed water, I seal this entrance against all negativity. May only goodness, light, and divine presence enter here." The final step is to recite Padre Pio's prayer of activation, which brings all 3 elements into harmonious protection. With your hands extended toward the doorway, pray from your heart. By the power of the Holy Cross, by the peace of the olive branch, and by the purification of blessed water, I seal this entrance against all harm. May guardian angels stand watch at this threshold. May only light, peace, and blessing enter this home. Let this protection remain strong and active until I renew it. Amen. Padre Pio taught that when this protection is properly implemented, guardian angels literally station themselves at the entrance of your home. He could actually see them taking their positions, some at the threshold, others creating a field of light around the doorway. These spiritual guardians filter the energies attempting to enter your home, allowing positive influences to pass through while blocking negative ones. Now, let me share with you another remarkable story. Michael, a business owner from Chicago, contacted me after experiencing Padre Pio's protection method firsthand. For years, his family business had struggled despite his best efforts. At home, his marriage was strained, and his teenage daughter had developed severe anxiety that interfered with her schoolwork and social life. It felt like we were under some kind of curse, Michael told me. But no matter what we tried, therapy, financial advisors, even moving to a different neighborhood, our problems followed us. I'm not normally superstitious, but it got to the point where I couldn't explain what was happening to my family any other way. A friend suggested Padre Pio's protection method. Michael, though skeptical, decided to try it, setting up the cross, olive elements, and holy water exactly as prescribed. The first thing we noticed was the sleep, he said. As within 3 nights, we were all sleeping soundly for the first time in months. My daughter's nightmares stopped completely. After about 2 weeks, a client I'd been pursuing for years suddenly called with a major contract offer. My wife and I started having conversations without tension for the first time in I don't know how long. After 3 months, Michael renewed the protection as advised. And our home feels completely different now, peaceful, supportive, even joyful again. My daughter's anxiety has improved so dramatically that her therapist asked what changed. The business is thriving. I can't explain it logically, but I don't need to. The results speak for themselves. To experience the full benefits of this protection, Padre Pio offered several important guidelines. First, timing matters. While you can implement this protection any day of the week, Padre Pio noted that Sunday mornings or Thursday evenings carry particularly favorable spiritual energies for establishing new protection. If possible, choose one of these times for the initial setup. Second, renewal is essential. Mark your calendar to refresh this protection every 3 months. Some people align these renewals with the changing seasons, creating a natural rhythm of spiritual maintenance. The renewal process is simpler than the initial setup. Simply clean the area, apply fresh holy water in the same pattern, and repeat the activation prayer. Third, be attentive to signs that your protection might need reinforcement sooner than the 3-month interval. These include unusually vivid nightmares affecting family members, a sudden return of the heaviness or tension in your home atmosphere, or a series of unexpected problems arising in rapid succession. These may indicate that particularly strong negative influences are testing your protection, requiring renewal ahead of schedule. Fourth, protection can be enhanced through complementary practices. Padre Pio recommended periodically walking through your home with blessed candles or incense, extending the protective influence from the doorway throughout all living spaces. He also suggested keeping a small bowl of blessed salt in an inconspicuous place near the entrance, as an additional absorber of negative energies. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, protection works in harmony with your personal spiritual practice. Regular prayer, moments of gratitude, and acts of kindness create an internal environment that naturally repels negativity. Padre Pio would often say, the best protection is a heart filled with love and prayer. Take a moment now to visualize your home entrance with these elements of protection in place. See in your mind's eye the small cross centered above the door, the olive elements creating their arc of peace, and the holy water sealing the threshold. Imagine a soft, golden light emanating from this configuration, creating an invisible barrier that only allows positive energies to enter. Feel the difference this protection would make in your home's atmosphere. The lightness, the sense of safety, the peaceful quality of the air itself. This visualization actively connects you with the protection potential awaiting implementation in your physical space. Padre Pio taught that spiritual realities respond to our focused attention and intention. By clearly envisioning this protection, you're already beginning to establish it on an energetic level. When you implement this protection physically, be attentive to the subtle changes that follow. Many people report feeling a noticeable shift almost immediately. A lightening of the atmosphere, deeper sleep the very first night, or a sense of peaceful clarity that wasn't present before. Others experience the changes more gradually, unfolding over days or weeks as the protection steadily clears accumulated negative influences. What matters isn't how quickly you notice changes, but that you maintain faith in the process. As Padre Pio often reminded those he counseled, pray, hope, and don't worry. The protection is working whether the effects are immediately apparent or more subtle in their manifestation. Now let's turn our attention to what you can expect over time as this protection transforms your home environment, and how to maintain its effects for lasting peace and harmony. What can you expect as Padre Pio's protection method takes effect in your home? The transformation unfolds in distinct phases, each bringing its own blessings and restorations. Understanding this timeline helps you recognize the protection working, even during the subtle initial stages. During the first 72 hours, you'll likely notice changes in the atmosphere of your home. Many describe it as a lightening or clearing of the air itself. Colors might seem brighter, sounds clearer. You may find yourself taking deeper breaths, as though the air has become more oxygen-rich. Family members might comment that the home feels different, without being able to identify exactly why. These subtle atmospheric changes are the first signs that negative energies are being cleared from your living space. Within the first week, relationships within the home begin to transform. Communication becomes easier, with fewer misunderstandings and defensive reactions. Arguments that would normally escalate seem to resolve more quickly. Children often show the most dramatic early responses, sleeping more soundly, displaying less irritability, and recovering their natural joy and curiosity. Even pets respond to the improved energy, becoming calmer and more relaxed in their behavior. Padre Pio observed that the home's atmosphere directly affects the emotional state of everyone living within it. As the protection clears accumulated negative influences, emotional healing naturally follows. Long-standing tensions begin to dissolve, not through force or effort, but simply because the energetic fuel for conflict is no longer present. By the second week, material aspects of life often begin to shift. This is when many report unexpected financial improvements, job offers appearing, delayed payments finally arriving, or creative solutions emerging for persistent problems. The protection doesn't just shield against negative energies, it also opens pathways for blessings to enter more freely. Obstacles that seemed immovable start to dissolve, creating movement where there was once stagnation. This phase reflects Padre Pio's teaching that spiritual and material well-being are interconnected. When spiritual blockages are removed from the home environment, material blessings flow more naturally as a reflection of restored divine order. After a full month, sleep and health patterns usually show marked improvement. Insomnia diminishes, nightmares decrease or disappear entirely, and the quality of rest deepens. Physical symptoms that seemed resistant to treatment often begin to respond more favorably. Headaches, digestive issues, and chronic fatigue frequently show improvement as the body's natural healing abilities function more effectively in a protected environment. Padre Pio understood that much of our physical suffering has spiritual components. While the protection doesn't replace medical care, it creates conditions where both conventional and spiritual healing can work more effectively. The body's innate healing intelligence responds powerfully to an environment free from energetic interference. At the 3-month mark, when it's time to renew the protection, you'll likely realize just how profound the transformation has been. Looking back, many people are astonished at the cumulative changes in their home life. Relationships that were once strained have found new harmony. Health issues have improved or resolved. Financial situations have stabilized or flourished. The home itself feels like a true sanctuary, a place of peace, rest, and spiritual nourishment. This is when Padre Pio's protection reaches its full maturity, establishing what he called a permanent field of blessing that maintains itself through the regular renewals. It's not that challenges never occur. Life still brings its lessons and growth opportunities, but within a protected home, these challenges are met with greater clarity, strength, and support. Problems no longer seem to compound and intensify as they once did. One of the most beautiful aspects of this protection is how it extends to visitors in your home. Friends, family members, and even strangers who enter your space often comment on the peaceful atmosphere. Some find themselves spontaneously sharing concerns or seeking advice, unconsciously recognizing your home as a safe space for emotional and spiritual healing. In this way, your protected home becomes a blessing not only for your family, but for everyone who crosses its threshold. This ripple effect of blessing was very important to Padre Pio. He saw protected homes as points of light in a challenging world, places where divine presence could touch not just one family, but an entire community through the interactions that naturally occur in daily life. I want to emphasize something crucial. This protection doesn't create a perfect, problem-free existence. What it does is far more valuable. It establishes spiritual conditions where life's inevitable challenges can be met with greater clarity, strength, and divine support. As Padre Pio often reminded those who sought his guidance, the challenges don't disappear. We become stronger in facing them. The most profound transformation occurs in how you perceive and respond to life itself. Many report a growing sense of trust and peace that extends beyond their home environment. Having experienced the tangible effects of spiritual protection, faith deepens from intellectual concept to lived reality. The invisible becomes undeniably real through its visible effects. This was always Padre Pio's greatest hope for those he helped. Not just that their immediate problems would resolve, but that they would develop a more vibrant, personal relationship with spiritual reality. Protection of the home was, for him, a gateway to deeper spiritual awakening. As we reach the conclusion of our time together, I want to share one final insight from Padre Pio about home protection. He taught that while the method I've shared creates powerful external protection, it works in harmony with the internal protection of a heart aligned with love and truth. External protection creates the space. Internal spiritual growth fills that space with light. This is why Padre Pio encouraged daily moments of gratitude and prayer within the protected home. These practices aren't just religious obligations. They're active participants in maintaining the home's sacred atmosphere. Even a few minutes each day acknowledging the blessings in your life and setting positive intentions for your family creates waves of harmonious energy that strengthen the protection already in place. If you believe in the power of this protection and intend to implement it in your home, I invite you to write, "My home is blessed," in the comments below. This simple declaration of faith initiates the connection to Padre Pio's ongoing spiritual assistance. Remember that he continues to help those who sincerely seek protection and blessing for their homes. I also encourage you to share this knowledge with others who might benefit from it. Padre Pio taught that spiritual wisdom increases in power when shared with loving intention. By passing this information to someone whose home needs protection, you extend the circle of blessing and strengthen your own protection as well. Consider sharing this video with at least 3 people who might be experiencing signs of spiritual vulnerability in their homes. Before we part, I'd like to offer a simple blessing for your home, inspired by Padre Pio's own words of protection. May your home be sealed against all negativity and harm. May light, love, and divine presence fill every room and touch every heart within these walls. May angels stand guard at your threshold, welcoming blessings and turning away all that does not serve your highest good. May this sanctuary of peace extend its influence to all who enter, bringing healing and renewal to an ever-widening circle. And may you recognize, with each passing day, the invisible but real protection that surrounds you always. Amen. Padre Pio often reminded those he counseled that spiritual protection is not complicated, it's powerful in its simplicity. The method I've shared doesn't require special talents or extensive spiritual knowledge. It requires only sincerity, faith, and the decision to act. The materials are simple, the procedure straightforward, yet the effects can transform your entire home environment. How long will you allow your home to remain vulnerable? If you've been experiencing unexplained difficulties, persistent problems that resist solution, or a heaviness in your home atmosphere, perhaps the cause isn't what you thought. Perhaps it's simply that your doorway needs the protection Padre Pio revealed for these challenging times. The knowledge has been shared. The method is clear. Now the choice to implement this protection belongs to you. Your home can become a sanctuary of peace, harmony, and blessing, not just for your family, but for all who cross your threshold. This was Padre Pio's vision and his gift to us. Homes that stand as beacons of light and protection in a world that greatly needs both. May your home be blessed, protected, and filled with peace. Thank you for allowing me to share this sacred knowledge with you today.